Welcome to this week's Security Report. I'm Felicia Valenzuela. Thank you for joining us. The Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit and the Guyana Police Force's Narcotics Branch of the Criminal Investigation Department last weekend destroyed $188 million worth of cocaine and marijuana. The illegal substances destroyed accounted for cases from 2013 to present that were successfully concluded in the courts. The exercise was conducted on the Susdike-Linden Highway.
Today, the police narcotic branch will be destroying 143 kilograms of cannabis and 74 kilograms of cocaine. These are drugs that would have reached its finality through the courts. Persons would have been the case would have been either dismissed or persons were convicted.
That was Senior Superintendent Curly Simon. In the meantime, Kanu's Deputy Head Leslie Ramlal said the destination for the local cannabis was Barbados.
We're also seeing the importation of cannabis out of Jamaica. And of recent, looking at what is coming through the ports now with the legalization of cannabis in some developed countries, we're already seeing the importation of that into Guyana. Recently we had, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a seizure at La Parcan with cannabis coming from the United States. Last year we had a seizure with cannabis coming from Canada. So that is something that as law enforcement we now have to be aware of, and it certainly poses another challenge for Guyana and all law enforcement agencies.
The destruction of the illegal substances is the second such exercise by the law enforcement agencies in a short time. The last exercise was conducted in November 2018. During that assignment, over $513 million worth of cocaine and cannabis were destroyed. The Civil Defense Commission's Preparedness and Response Department this week participated in Exercise Region RAP, hosted by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, coordinating unit. This annual exercise, which tests communication procedures, plans, and networks of national disaster organizations across CDEMA participating states, as well as other regional and international partners, is done in an effort to advance the Caribbean region's emergency telecommunications arrangements. Government calls for integrated approach against trafficking in persons and smuggling of migrants. At the opening of the 2-day regional thematic meeting geared towards addressing trafficking in persons, Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan called for society's wide involvement in addressing the issues.
It is also having fresh ideas that must come from our circumstances. Our experts inside of the task force, those that are within the research departments of our ministries, our universities, all of them would have to collaborate and come up with fresh ideas as to how we can do this thing. Hitting the networks hard, getting the information as to who are some of the suspects.
Minister Ramjatan thanked the organizers of ACP, EU Dialogue and ACP EU Migration Action, which is funded by the European Union and the IOM, for supporting the meeting, which aims to generate relevant recommendations on the topics of trafficking in persons and the smuggling of migrants in the region.
Commendations must be given for the continuous support for ACP countries, including Caribbean governments, at improving their legislative frameworks and capacity in implementing counter-trafficking and counter-smuggling policies. This support is especially needed given the vulnerabilities of many Caribbean nations. I hope that the objectives of the ACP-EU are fully met, and for Guyana and other Caribbean countries in the region to wholly benefit.
Guyana's participation in the conference comes after the government has secured and continues to maintain its Tier 1 status in the TIP fight. News from the Guyana Police Force now. Residents of Leguan are said to be breathing a sigh of relief after senior officers from the Guyana Police Force G Division conducted a community walkabout. Divisional Commander, Senior Superintendent Khalil Parshram, says engagement with residents is important, hence the long-awaited visit. During the walkabout, residents called for the resuscitation of the community policing group on the island. Residents believe disbanding of the group resulted in an increase in petty crimes. The GPF's traffic department on the Essequibo coast continues to conduct its traffic awareness lectures for students. Within the last week, ranks visited Queenstown, Good Hope, Riverstown and Saudi primary schools respectively. A total of 700 students and teachers have benefited. Topics discussed include the use of roads, curb drill, the use of pedal cycle, color of clothing to wear at nights, playing on the roadways, precautions for the Easter holiday and traffic signs and signals. The GPF gets 36 new immigration officers. 36 young Guyanese were taken strategically from the 10 administrative regions of Guyana to train and become the force's next batch of immigration officers. The 6-week course, which concluded on March 8, 2019, covered several critical areas relating to the unique day-to-day demand of an immigration officer. These include records management, data protection, profiling, interviewing techniques, and trafficking in persons. This batch includes 10 males and 26 females. News from the Guyana Defense Force now. GDF medic delivers baby on board Transport and Harbour Department vessel en route to Mabaruma, Region 1. At approximately 1:30 Friday morning, Aloma Roberts of Wano, Region 1, went into labor on board the MV Barima en route to Mabaruma, which was several miles out in the Atlantic Ocean. On board the said vessel was a Guyana Defense Force patrol who quickly radioed the nearest Coast Guard outpost for assistance, while the patrol's medic, Lance Corporal Nickel Charles, delivered a healthy baby girl. The newborn and mother were subsequently transported to the Mabaruma Hospital via GDF Coast Guard high-speed patrol craft, which intercepted the TNHD vessel in the Atlantic Ocean. Commanding Officer of Training Corps, Lieutenant Colonel Julius Skeet, at a small but significant ceremony at Base Camp Stevenson, Timeri, on Thursday, conferred the jungle and amphibious badge upon Brazilian instructor, Sergeant Valderson Leal Dutra. Sergeant Dutra received the badge in recognition of his hard work and dedication at the Jungle Amphibious Training School, JATS Makara, where he provided extensive knowledge, skills, tactics, techniques, and procedures of jungle warfare to officers and soldiers. The Jungle Badge is the Guyana Defense Force Premier Distinction Award for jungle and amphibious training. On the GPF's wanted list, Delroy Cleon Morrison is wanted by the police for questioning in relation to larceny of cattle committed on Abdul Juman between October 25th and November 24, 2018. Anyone with information that may lead to the arrest of Delroy Cleon Morrison is asked to contact the police on the telephone numbers on screen or the nearest police station. All information will be treated with the strictest confidence. And that's it for this week's Security Report. Goodbye.